Hey guys, we're here at Big Gold Belt Media with actor Russ Russo. Russ, how are you today?
Hey, good. How you doing?
Pretty good. I just had the pleasure of watching 8 episodes of Chaser, so that was a a couple of days well spent. You happened to get on my radar, and of course, I went down a rabbit hole of your IMDb and started going through some other stuff, and I'm like, man, this guy is an incredible actor. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this interview with me today. Of course, I got 1,000 questions.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm I'm gonna narrow them down to a few.
Absolutely.
um,
Ask away. You know that.
so first for you, I want to ask, working with Gia, working with Daniel, small cast of Chasers. How was how was the energy on set for you doing this particular series?
Oh man, it was incredible. It was incredible because I gotta say, there's a lot of friendships that were made off of this, but one of the strange things is when you make friendships, but you're sort of solely in the character. You often wonder, like, after the 30, 40 days are up, if you're going to still be able to to maintain that friendship, or if it's just like, do they like Eddie Sebastian, you know?
I could imagine, like you say, are you getting into your character's head 100%. This Eddie
Right.
Sebastian's not, the typical likable character. He's the underseen, an unseen underdog of the movie. But I guess for me personally, everybody in this movie felt, I don't want to say like a villain, but nobody seemed like they had redeeming qualities in the movie. Like I get where Eddie's character is coming from, or Eddie's coming from in the movie. He wants money, power, respect. He wants the girl. He wants to be noticed. He wants to be noticed. But at the same time, like, once you get those things, you become an entirely different person in general. He becomes the exact thing that he was pretty much against, his boss, that was, Rodney. Oh my God, Daniel played that character. Oh my God, I'm sure he's a nice guy. The character was so annoying, and I was like, man, I really hope something happens to this guy. He's just a dirtbag in the entire movie.
Yeah.
Um,
My response to Daniel DeWeldon being a nice guy is like, yeah.
but you definitely tell that you guys kind of sat on this project for a while, and
Yeah, he'll enjoy that.
you can see the chemistry between the characters. And ironically, this movie is about a character who gains the power to edit real life. He's an editor. Editing is like the most unfun job in the world. As somebody that edits all the time, it's not fun. But once you get a finished product, it all comes together, then it's really good. One of the things
Yeah.
you guys repeatedly mention in this movie is South by Southwest. And as everybody knows, in the film industry, that's one of the biggest film, I want to say convention, but one of the biggest
Yeah.
film things that's out here. Did you know, if you're looking to get your indie movie or any movie out there, this is one of the things that gets you a lot of attention. Um,
Right.
what was one of the reasons that this is written by Daniel Roman? I want to make sure I get that right. Romer.
Yeah, Daniel Romer, he wrote it, and I think it's the South by Southwest was based off of the fact that he had a short film that did very well. Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, you know, put it into Project Greenlight. It went far. He ended up a finalist on that show. I don't remember when that show was sort of in its heyday, in the early 2000s. Um, and it went pretty far. And I think that was just the pinnacle of success, even at that time. It still is, but, so I think that's why he wrote that into the series. And it's funny you say movie, because it did start as a movie and then became a series after. So it's funny that
Right.
you think of it as a movie, but it's an 8 episode series, and it started as a movie for sure.
Well, yeah, you could definitely tell. That was one of the questions I had, is because of the way it's edited. it doesn't lean and break away like a TV show does. It feels like it just picks back up. So I was like, okay, as I watched 8 episodes, I was like, man, this could have easily have been edited down to a movie because of the way it flows. So I'm curious as to why you guys decided to stray away from doing the full length movie versus the 8 episode TV show.
Yeah, I think Dan Romer found that he had the 2 hour and 40-minute movie and was like, oh, that's not a running time for this genre or this type of movie nowadays. And I don't know if I can make it 90 minutes and, have the story still, be told. And just having that, having 2 movies basically within one movie, you can't do part 1, part 2. So, it sort of lent itself to like, well, what other format do we have available to us? And that's how it was sort of, sold to me is, we can put this into 20, 25-minute episodes and be able to tell a coherent story here, rather than have a movie get chopped into 90 minutes and have nobody understand it whatsoever. And, it's just kind of here today, gone tomorrow, that kind of thing.
I think that's also a big testament as to how we how we consume media now. Like everybody, you either get it all the same day, we get the week by week, which, I stress to everybody for every TV show, the week by week is what you want. That's the water cooler talk. Your show is constantly being talked about. People are anticipating the next episode. When you do the streaming all at once thing, it's consumed, it's gone, it's done with. Nobody's talking about it. Like, cool, you got it's a lightning in the bottle situation, and then it's gone. And I'm glad to see a lot of studios and a lot of these big major streaming companies are going back to the week to week. When it comes to a lot of these, and like I said, this was good that you guys did it in in that format, because I think it is easily consumed when you break it down like the way that you did. And you also edit certain things into the opening credits and end credits too, that also play throughout the entire show too, which I thought was really, really interesting the way you did that. The way they did that. I guess
that's a credit to Dan Romer as well, to be able to, he's a big fan of Black Mirror. And I think that kind of, blend into, started to blend into the way of making that linear from episode to episode, just having that fandom.
Question: the actor Scott Stoops that was in the movie, he plays the gatekeeper in the movie, who for whatever reason I thought was Eric Roberts this entire time. I had to look it up.
I've never worked with Eric Roberts. I'd love to, but I've never worked with Eric Roberts.
I was like, oh man,
they're very similar. Yeah, they're pretty similar in look, aren't they? Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that's true.
Not giving away any spoilers for Chaser. But this entire thing opens up obviously so many opportunities for there to be other ways you could play your character. And so many people can kind of, we're kind of in this with movies in general and TV, just like this multiverse thing that we have going on now. All of a sudden, everybody wants to do a multiverse. Comics have been doing it for years. Now everybody has found a way to kind of, figure out how to do the same thing but different. How you feel about going into like, and of course, with the concept of Chaser itself, with not time travel but re-editing life and branching reality. How you feel about going back into the world of Eddie Sebastian if possible?
It might happen. I wouldn't. I think I'd think about it differently now versus when we started this project 5 years ago. I mean, that's the life of what independent art really is. 5 years, man, 5 years. From conception to filming to finally finishing the edit, and then re-editing so that it's an 8-episode series, and then selling it to Buffalo 8, and then them selling it to Prime. It's just like a half a decade. Like, I didn't even have kids when I first started making this, and now I have a 4 and a 2.5-year-old. But when I first started making this, I had no kids. So I think it would be different, and I would think about it from the standpoint of be careful what you wish for,
Mm.
um, because I think a lot of Eddie Sebastian's uh, journey is he wants these things so badly, but once he gets them, he realizes that it's not all it's cracked up to be.
Right. It definitely, like you said, it gives you that Black Mirror vibe, like that bedazzled vibe. You make a deal with the devil, but it's not exactly the way you want it to go. Uh,
Yeah,
I just thought that was really interesting. There's some interesting scenes in this movie too, where you guys are at the party, and for whatever reason, like they play a lot of the glitching throughout the show itself,
right.
and you don't get the big whatever's going on until the end of it all. But apparently, like you guys are drinking, and you're trying to stay away, trying to stay alert, and apparently for whatever reason the cups are spiked with mushroom, and you're playing, you're doing beer pong. How was that scene? Like just playing that whole party scene, trying to play Mr. Cool in that scene. Like you're wearing different wardrobes, which is crazy, by the way. And
Yeah,
different wardrobes. All of a sudden you gain money, your personality starts to change. How was that
yeah,
party scene when you come into that?
yeah. That was wild because there was so much happening, and a lot of it was being directed sort of off screen. So like now this is happening, now this is happening, and so you're
Right.
reacting to certain things that aren't actually even happening in the room itself. So then when you finally see the edit of those things, you're like, okay, I'm glad those things played, because when you're actually doing them, you're like, I'm reacting to nothing. I'm just being told this is what's happening. So you never know. It was kind of like, I've worked with green screen before. It was kind of like that, creative imagination. Like you're just imagining these things are there, but they're not really there. Yeah.
Yeah, you had mentioned, and I also know that you're an acting teacher.
Yes.
When you have stuff like this that comes out, um, what I mean, I guess like for your students, like what is something that I guess that you push to them, that for them to get to this level. Of course, everybody wants to be on the A list. Everybody wants to be on the B list. Which of course this movie again talks about the commentary of the acting world and what it costs to get to that point. What is something that you tell your students about, as far as like, going from, like you said, indie to these Hollywood movies?
Yeah. I told them, it's a long, hard road. So, you know, you better knuckle up, and that journey is so far away from you when you begin, that you better buckle up too, because it's a wild ride to go on. And my students, they range from, like, especially my child students, range from 9 to 19.
Oh wow.
And it's watching them grow and get better at their craft every week. Sometimes they'll have like a big $200 million movie that they'll audition for. And I had one of my actors just got an HBO show opposite Mark Ruffalo recently, and I'm like, man,
Okay.
just keep it calm.
Yeah.
Keep it calm, because a lot of it is, you're still in for a long ride. Like, even when you get a great project, you're still in for a long journey when it comes to this craft. So, I tell them that I'm a testament to, you better temper yourself a little bit, because every time you go up, you can go,
Yeah.
right back down. It's a roller coaster. This
What do you
industry.
what do you, what do you seeing? What do you think you're seeing a little bit more of? Do you think there are, I mean, obviously the opportunities of what you're going to make of? Do you think you see more opportunities for more, like you said, more of the younger crowd now, or like more towards like the older crowd? I mean, obviously there's positions for everybody, but as far as like, what's being looked for when these series, these movies and stuff are being created.
Right. Well, that's another thing. I mean, because I have two adult classes, and my adults range from 29 to 75,
Mm,
and they range from every ethnicity and every race. And what I'm seeing is that everybody has a chance now, man. Now that part of it has opened up, so I'm really I'm thankful for that aspect of it. That part. makes me feel good, you know. The part of it that and I think we talked about this a little bit, the part that I don't feel as excited about as is compartmentalizing actors into they can't play certain things. They have to kind of stay close to
Right.
themselves, and that part irks me because, you know, the way that I teach, I want everybody to be able to sort of expand and have a creative imagination and feel like, you know, they can have different accents and, you know, and different physicalities and work into that, and not just feel like, okay, I look like this, I sound like this, and that's what I'm going to play the rest of my career.
Right.
I don't want that for people. You know, I want them to be able to really play and expand and yeah. So it's two pronged.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like I said, as the world ever keeps changing, and we you know, with your casting age, you know, casting agents being able to, you know, at the end of the day, it's a business, and they're gonna go with sells. They're gonna
Yeah.
go they're gonna go with what's not problematic, what's not gonna you know cause any issue to whatever the project is, stuff like that. And you know, it's hard because like you said, you people work, you know, work their butts off to get a role, but now it comes down to certain factors, not how good you are, but what you look like or what you sound like, you know, without, you know, certain things like that. So I could definitely see that I can see both sides of it, but yeah, I could definitely see what you're saying with that.
Yeah, I just feel like, you know, one of the aspects of this industry that's really tough, and I have to tell my students and just let them know right off the bat, is like, I'm going to teach you uh, the craft. I absolutely teach you that, and you know, we'll work method and technique and all of that, and you'll get as, you know, you'll get really good. You might get great. You master this craft, but just know it's not a meritocracy. The industry, the actual business, is not a meritocracy. So you can, they say cream rises to the top. Not in
Right.
this industry. It, you know, you can get good enough that they can't ignore you. That's wonderful, but there's a lot of years they can ignore you. So just you just have to keep working. You have to keep working because it's not a meritocracy, and you'll find that people that are 4 or 5 years in the business will get a role over somebody that's 20, 25 years in the business. And it's not because it's, you know, apples and apples. It's because it's apples and oranges. It's because whatever fits now is what they're going to go with.
I mean, so many projects in and out the door. Like I said, so many platforms now that didn't exist 10, 15 years ago. I mean, you can start your own thing now, picking up your iPhone or whatever device you have, film your own stuff, YouTube, whatever you want to do. You don't need to wait on anybody now to get yourself to that point. So there's so many different doors that you can create for yourself now that didn't exist before. Obviously, you know, you wanna hit those big, you know, those big number of jobs if you can, but you don't have to wait anymore. I think it's the biggest thing. Yeah.
No,
Uh,
that's a beautiful thing. But I'll tell you, the industry as a whole has taken it out of your hands so that when you do that, when you make those iPhone movies and things of that nature, when you uh, there are ceilings, glass ceilings in place so that you'll never, you know, break the distribution side of the business
right,
that
right.
they don't want you to break. So there's you know, go after it, but just know that, you know, there are going to be some things that you know, bang your head against and go like, oh, well, but
Right.
why not Netflix? Well, why not Prime? Well, why not this? Just know that, like, you know, that's just part of it. That's just part of it. So
Yeah.
you have to keep working even after you go out and make your own.
Yeah, that legal door hits you in the face real quick. You know, making sure things get cleared, you know, stuff in the background, things that you might have inadvertently that you didn't know was there, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like it's a lot of stuff, like you said, will block you that. And I'm sorry, I'm still trying to shake Eddie
Yeah.
Sebastian out of my lens because I just recently watched it. So I'm like
Yeah, yeah, that's
that
hard, right? Like you feel like, okay, I'm interviewing the actor that played Eddie Sebastian, and Eddie Sebastian is a certain way, and then you're like, okay,
yeah.
so this guy's just gonna be Eddie Sebastian, and we're good, and then we're good to go. We'll, you know, that's a much easier thing, right?
I,
Then
I do I do have a question. I don't know if you can answer it. The program, the I cut program that's used throughout the movie.
Yeah.
What is that? Like, what was used there? I mean, obviously some movie magic, but what was actually
Yeah.
being used there for that?
So he was worried about a deal that and this is again the legal aspect that you were talking about. He
Yeah.
was worried about having a deal with Adobe Premiere Pro.
Mm,
And so if you can't, go with something that every editor uses and, has this big name, and you can't get that cleared and they won't, sign off on that to use throughout the series, then, you better be able to make up your own, you know? And so I think that's what that was born from.
okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
Not
I
being able
was
to legally clear the other thing.
Yeah, it's always amazing, like kind of like especially in movies and TV, the workarounds that are came up with. You know what I mean? To kind of to make things work and to make those transitions better for
Yeah.
certain things. Like I said, to for this, so I'm thinking, I'm like, is this an actual program? Let me see, let me see, like if this is work. Like I said, I really like the concept. I mean, essentially time travel or being able to re-edit your life. And of course, the lesson at the end of the day is you can't do this without consequence. There's no fix it button for every situation.
Yeah.
We see kind of what happens when certain people get this power in their hands.
Mhm.
Of course, Eddie just happens to be the perfect candidate because he doesn't want for anything. He doesn't have any ambitions to that point where he wants to have world domination like the bad guy in the
No.
movie. um
Yeah.
and just like using simple props to talk about like a bigger topic that's there, even like getting into like the science fiction and like the time travel, all that stuff like that. I can still hear the message, I can still see the message. I don't think that's overshadowed by the movie itself. But
Yeah.
the 24-hour rule kind of sucks, but
Yeah, I always had an issue with that, but you have to keep it contained. You
yeah,
have to keep it
you
contained.
have to have rules, yeah, to that
Yeah,
type of
there's got to
stuff.
be
Yeah.
rules there. So yeah, it made it really difficult for Eddie to make anything work. But I guess that was the conflict though. That was the creator of the conflict right there. Is that he couldn't work it outside those parameters.
Right.
And then it was weird because, Gar, Daniel DeWeldon's character, started working outside those parameters, and it was like, oh no,
Right.
now some things are going to happen. Yeah.
Yeah, which was weird. I was like, okay, so wait, did the rules go out the window? We just do whatever we want. How are we back editing
Right.
everything that was like days prior? Like, I was like, I'm not gonna the continuity. I'm not
I
gonna
know.
question.
I know. Yeah, I'll talk to Daniel Romer about that. But I think his idea was that in the wrong hands, there are no parameters for this type of power in the wrong hands, and maybe Eddie wasn't as aware that he could outside these parameters, edit. So we'll just leave it at that,
Right.
just in case, just in case.
My, my last question, and we can wrap it here.
Yeah.
What's next for Russ Russo? I mean, obviously we've done Chasers, we've done Serving the Lord, Honeymoon in the Code Hollow. I mean, you've been working. I mean, your schedule's pretty busy.
Yeah.
Even the opportunity to do this right now, like I appreciate you to take time for this. But what's next for you?
So there's a film coming out. We just went to the premiere of it. Oh man, I can't wait for people to see this movie. It's horror, it's comedy, and it's such a great infusion. I was laughing the whole time. Like, take me out of the equation, I was laughing the entire 90-minute movie. And I don't want to say that like I guess I could say it's currently titled Night of Violence, but I don't think that's what it's going to be titled. It's about a pharmaceutical company that has like a big like shareholders party, and then the caterers come in, and some things happen, and they end up like in a survival in a 35-story building, you know. And that wouldn't think that would be horror or a comedy. Well, maybe a little bit of horror, but not as much comedy. But the message, you want to talk about like messages that are like underneath these kind of genre tropes.
Yeah.
Man, oh man, that message about big pharma, like hidden inside of a horror comedy, It was so fascinating, man. Really, really good. So I'm looking forward to that coming out. I'm hoping like Netflix picks that up for like, you know, somewhere between, you know, October, November, and, you know, maybe January of 2025. But that's gonna be really cool when that drops.
Well, if you're looking for a streaming company with an unlimited bank account, apparently they're the
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
They'll cut
It's
you a
true.
check. Go ahead and make it. Like,
Yep. This is true. And it's already
look,
made, so
right.
it's just a matter of them picking it up now.
That is, I
So
think
yeah,
that's
I
the
think it's
best part about a lot of the streaming stuff is stuff is already done. It's in the bank,
it
and
is.
they're just
Yeah.
picking it up the tab basically, and putting it on
Yeah.
their service. So, like I said, yeah, you know, it's a lot of projects just sitting on the shelf, movies sitting on the shelf that they've just been waiting to get cleared, or you know, stuff like that, or just waiting for, you know, somebody to pick up the tab. And like I said, I can't wait to see your new movie. If it's any indication of this, and in the range that you have, especially after seeing this, and how you're able to just break into another character completely, I already know it's going to be good. So,
Oh, wait till you see this one. This character is nothing like Eddie Sebastian. And yeah, it's pretty hilarious, man. It's pretty funny.
well, I
Yeah.
can't wait. Well, Russ, I appreciate you so much for doing this interview with us today. I really appreciate taking the time. I know you had a busy schedule, got like 50 jobs, man. But but look, I thank you so much for doing this interview with me today.
Well, thank you. It
Thank,
was wonderful, man. I love it.
thank you so much.
Take care.